Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be covering an important topic for those considering buying a home in Maryland: closing cost. This video is based purely on research and does not reflect my personal opinion in any way. Now let's dive into it. First and foremost, what are closing costs? Closing costs are fees and expenses you need to pay when finalizing the purchase of a home. In Maryland, they typically range from 3 to 6% of the home's purchase price. These costs cover various services and charges necessary to complete the real estate transaction. Both buyers and sellers may have their own closing costs, but this video will focus on the buyer side. The first category of closing costs you'll encounter are lender fees. Lender fees in Maryland generally include the loan origination fee. Now, this is the fee you pay to your lender for processing your mortgage application. It's typically around 1% of the loan amount. Next, you may pay discount points. These are typically optional, but if you want to lower your interest rate, you can pay points up front. 1 point is equal to 1% of the loan amount. Next, you may encounter the underwriting fee. Lenders charge this fee to cover the cost of reviewing your application, credit report, and ensuring the loan complies with guidelines. It can range from roughly $400 to $900. Next, let's talk about title and escrow fees. These ensure that the property is transferred legally and without any issues. In the state of Maryland, the title company handles a significant portion of the closing process, and their fees can vary depending on the title company and the complexity of the transaction. Here are some common title-related closing costs. First, title search fee. This fee covers the cost of searching public records to confirm that the seller has the legal right to sell the property. It can range from $200 to roughly $500. Next, title insurance. There are two types: the lender's title insurance, which protects the lender, and owner's title insurance, which protects you, the buyer. The lender's policy is required and typically costs around 0.5% of the loan amount, while the owner's policy is optional but highly recommended. Next is the escrow fee. This fee goes directly to the title company or escrow agent who handles the closing process. In Maryland, this fee is usually split between the buyer and the seller and can range from $300 to roughly $600. Next, you'll have to pay recording fees and transfer taxes. Maryland imposes various recording fees and transfer taxes when a property is sold. These costs are mandatory and vary based on the county you're buying in. Next are recording fees. These are fees charged to record the transaction in the public records. They generally cost around $50 to roughly $100 depending on your county. Next are transfer taxes. Maryland charges state and county transfer taxes. The state transfer tax is typically 0.5% of the home sale price. Additionally, counties in Maryland charge transfer taxes that range from 0.5% to 1.5%. First-time homebuyers may qualify for partial exemptions, reducing the cost slightly. Next are the prepaid costs that you'll incur. Now, prepaid costs are expenses you pay up front at closing for services that will continue after the sale. Now, these can include your homeowners insurance, property taxes, and mortgage insurance. Next, you'll need homeowners insurance. Lenders will require you as a buyer to pay the first year's premium at closing. In Maryland, the cost of homeowners insurance varies based on the home's value and location, but expect to pay anywhere between $500 to $1,500 annually. Next is property taxes, because we love property taxes. In Maryland, property taxes are paid semi-annually to annually. You'll need to prepay a portion of these taxes at closing. The amount you owe will depend on the timing of the purchase and the local tax rate. On average, property taxes in Maryland are around 1.06% of the home's value. Next is prepaid interest. This covers the interest on your loan from the date of your closing until the end of the month. The exact amount depends on your interest rate, loan amount, and the day of the month you close. Now, if you close early in the month, this cost will be higher. Next, let's talk about inspection and appraisal fees. Now, before finalizing the purchase, you'll need to conduct inspections and get an appraisal of the property. These fees are not usually included in the sales price and must be paid up front. A standard home inspection in the state of Maryland costs between $300 and roughly $600 depending on the size of the home. It's an essential step to ensure that there are no major issues with the property. Next is the appraisal fee. Your lender will require an appraisal to confirm the value of the home. In Maryland, the appraisal fee is typically between $400 and $600. Next is the pest inspection. Some lenders may require a pest inspection, especially for VA loans. This inspection costs typically between $50 and $150. Next is the survey fee. Depending on the property and the lender's requirements, you may need to pay for a property survey. A survey determines the property's legal boundaries and ensures that there are no encroachments. In Maryland, survey fees can range from roughly $400 to about $1,200 depending on the size and the location of the property. Next is homeowners association fees. If your property is a part of a homeowner association, aka HOA, you may need to pay HOA fees at closing. These fees usually cover a few months of dues in advance. In Maryland, HOA fees can vary widely, ranging from $200 to roughly $1,000, depending on the community and the amenities. Next are attorney fees. In Maryland, hiring a real estate attorney for a home purchase isn't always mandatory, but it is strongly recommended in certain situations. Now, if you choose to hire an attorney, expect to pay between $500 and $1,500 for their services. Attorneys can help review contracts, help with title issues, and ensure the closing process is legally sound. Next is the credit report fee. Another cost that often appears at closing is the credit report fee. Your lender will pull your credit report to assess loan eligibility. This fee is relatively small, typically between $25 and $50. Next is mortgage insurance. If you are making a down payment of less than 20%, your lender will likely require mortgage insurance. The only type of loan that doesn't require private mortgage insurance is VA. But if you're utilizing an FHA loan or maybe a conventional loan with less than 20% down, you will likely pay PMI. PMI rates do vary, but they typically range from 0.3% to 1.5% of the loan amount annually. Now, there may be several smaller miscellaneous fees that may be included in your closing cost. These fees can vary from transaction to transaction, but some examples include carrier fees. These are typically charged for the cost of sending documents during the closing process, usually around $20 to $50. You may have a flood certificate fee. Your lender will need to confirm if the home is located in a flood zone. The certification typically costs $10 to $20. Next, you'll pay notary fees. Now, you may need to pay a notary to witness the signing of documents. In Maryland, notary fees are generally $50 to $100. In summary, the total closing costs when purchasing a home in Maryland typically range from 3 to 6% of the home's purchase price. On a $300,000 home purchase, this means that you could expect to pay anywhere from $9,000 to $18,000 in closing costs. It's essential to budget for these expenses in addition to your down payment, as they must be paid at the time of closing. That's all I have for today's video. In conclusion, closing costs can add up quickly, so it's important to be aware of all the fees involved when buying a home in the state of Maryland. This will help you plan your budget more effectively and avoid any surprises at closing. If you are considering the purchase of a home here in Maryland, be sure to check out the free Homebuyers guide on my website. And of course, if you have further questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. My contact information is in the description below. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you on the next one.